Hi, guys. How are you? There are a bunch of you here, but no faces yet. It's okay. I just turned on my face. There's Amy and Katie. Hey, guys. And Sarah. And there's Janet. Hi, Janet. And awesome. Super duper pumped to see your faces. I've got a good topic for us for today. Super, super good. Let's see. Hi, Terry and Marlena. Oh, Katie, you do look badass in that flight suit. Is that a jacket or your flight suit?
No, it's my whole flight suit.
Oh, it's your whole situation. Yeah. For some unknown reason, I decided that I was going to rewatch Grey's Anatomy.
Uh-huh.
And so I've started over. I always liked the show. I was never like a super fan or something, but I watched it back in the day. Well, I decided for some unknown reason that I was going to start at the beginning and watch Grey's Anatomy. So now I'm extra fangirling on your flight suit, your paramedic flight suit. I often think of you when I'm watching that show. I think of Rebecca too. I think of all of our like healthcare first responder people because we have a lot of you in Fitme. We are like blessed to all be connected together. What did you call it? I wrote it down. You called it don't tell me. It's
Helping
on
professions.
yes, the helping professions. I love that. It's accurate. Um, Sweet guys. I just bought my plane tickets for Maryland. I'm super excited to see everybody. I cannot wait for the Maryland event and the Washington event. If you haven't signed up for the Maryland one, the deadline for that one is approaching. So hurry up and sign up. I want you to sign up for either one to get your spot reserved, but the Maryland deadline is approaching. And so I had a couple good questions about it this week that I thought were kind of fun. Like people were like, is this gonna be like one of those rah-rah, like super touchy-feely kind of things? And I'm like, no. I mean, yes, we're going to be like really happy to see each other in person. And I'm sure like just being together, there's going to be some of like the good feels. And there's always realness in our group. So there's a certain level of like authentic sharing that happens. But this isn't a fluff weekend. This weekend is a like give you very strategic and practical things that you are going to be able to use to help you like not only just speed up your results, but also just to get more out of every day. If I could be frank about it. Ultimately, that's what this is all about anyway, is feeling good in your skin and taking good care of yourself. And so you will walk away with like strategic things you can use. This metabolism audit that we're going to do, we have never done this with people before. And the first people that we're going to do these Fitme metabolism audits are at the event. So everybody who comes to the event is getting a personalized metabolism audit. And what does that mean? It means that, the like mystery behind like, how does my metabolism work? What do I need to be doing? What is the deal here? You're going to walk away with like an actual individual plan related to your diet history and what you currently eat to support your metabolism and make it work better. How to burn more calories really is what we're talking about in a way that like feels good with lots of energy. Everyone who comes to the events is getting a metabolism audit. Everyone who comes to the events is also getting a like personal, we're calling it a meal map. I'm not a big fan of the word meal plan, but I think having like a map, sort of a direction laid out for what you're going to do in a given month, sort of re-energize all of your regular choices, your go-tos. This is all going to be customized for you. It's not me handing one out and everybody's the same. This is like you walking away with your own individual meal map that we're going to help you build. So stuff like that is super practical and strategic. Like you're going to be able to use it immediately. Those are the kind of like takeaways that you're going to get in addition to all the good feels, in addition to all the connections, all of the like relaxation time, all of that good stuff too. So if you have not signed up yet and you have questions, reach out to me. I am happy to answer every question that you have about it so that you can figure it out. And if we can help you make it work, then we will do that. So that's my announcement and my spiel on the events that are coming up. And we're going to dive right into our topic for tonight. So we have I mean, you guys know that these Sunday calls, they're never earth shattering, right? We're not like necessarily talking about something that we've never talked about before, but ideally when you have your target for the week off the Sunday call and you listen to this, whether it's live or on the replay, you're like, okay, I understand this better and I'm going to be able to do this. And today is one of those topics. It's inspired by how well the conversation went last week. If you missed last week's coaching call, go back and listen to it. The Sunday coaching call was fire because we talked about meal prep and we talked about like combos. We had a lot of really good shares on how to combine different things together for really good meals. We talked about some of those strategies. Today, we're going to talk about vegetables. And I told you I was excited and I was waiting for you guys to all cheer and I knew you weren't going to cheer. But I want you to walk away with this call with some very good clarity on vegetables. So I wanted to go over first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little bit about why veggies are included on the Fitme plate. And it's not because you're supposed to eat your veggies since like we were kids, we were all told that, but let's like empower you with some information so you understand this. Here's what we're doing with vegetables. So you're going to understand that. Then I'm going to give you like the superfood veggie list. And if you're not eating any of these, then you know that that's going to be part of your homework this week is to pick one of them off the superfood list and incorporate them into your week. And then we'll use the end of this call to kind of brainstorm together best ways to prep vegetables. Because making them taste good is a part of incorporating them regularly. You may be able to stuff down nasty veggies one time, but you're not going to do that repeatedly. And at the end of the day, we need them in our regular meal choices so that we can feel our best. So first off, there are scientific studies that show that if you consume vegetables, you weigh less than people who don't. So there's just science to prove that. So what is happening here? Well, vegetables for one, are made up of fiber and water. So they're more filling. So if you fill up a plate, like you know how we do with our Fitme plate, and you start with protein being the size of your palm, and then you fill up half of your plate with vegetables, you have put something on your plate that includes both fiber and water. So you're going to be more full than you would if that was not there. So that is one of the biggest things that I see if I could like look at Fitme plates and look at all of the pictures of them and give you just a generalized feedback. That would be the big one. I would say there's not enough veggies here. Not enough times are we filling like like a third of our plate or, you know, half of our plate with veggies. Now, if you cook them down, sometimes they get a little bit smaller. But the reason is because it fills up your stomach. The other thing that it does for you is that it regulates your blood sugar. So because of the fiber that's in the vegetables, you are going to have a more stable blood sugar. So you're going to have a more stable energy. Another thing is vegetables are just less calories than an alternative choice of similar volume. So again, think about this is just like building a plate basics. If you were to take one half of your plate and fill it with cookies or one half of your plate and fill it with broccoli, you could have it be the same size, the same volume. And the broccoli will have less calories in it. And so again, if we're talking about how do you create weight loss over time and have really good balanced plates, how do you feel your best? Well, then incorporating veggies for that reason can be really helpful. You can swap out something and put in veggies. The last really big reason that we want to include vegetables in our diet, and maybe this is like the one when in doubt, this is the one you've probably heard before, which is that they're packed full of like nutrition, right? Vitamins and minerals that your body needs. And the nutrition piece is real deal too. It's not just like Christy and like, growing up, people telling you to eat your vegetables because there's good nutrition in there. It's proven to lower cholesterol. It's proven to lower inflammation. So if you have sore joints, if you're somebody who has a chronic joint pain for whatever the reason, vegetables help bring inflammation down. And all of the vitamins that are in vegetables can fight things like cancer. And again, that's not me making that up. That's scientific studies that show when you consume them regularly, that's what they do. So all these reasons to eat vegetables, right? Still doesn't mean we're going to do it. Like you've probably heard those before and you're like, yeah, I knew those before, but I'm only doing it because I'm playing Fitme Plates game. Knowing them is helpful, but knowing how to do it, even more helpful. So now like the background when you think about, okay, when I don't have veggies on my plate, probably not going to feel as full. My blood sugar is probably not going to be as balanced here as it would if I was including something with fiber in it. And knowing, hey, this plate is not quite as nutritious as it could be if I had some more veggies on there. So those are kind of the things that you can do your own check when you're building out your plate and say, here's why I need to go ahead and go back to the fridge and snag, insert veggie here and put it on the plate. Because I'm with you. There's plenty of times that I'll just take the protein and I'll take the carb. I'll dress it up with some seasoning. I'm like, I'm done. It takes work sometimes to go back and deliberately get the vegetable and put it on the plate. So now you have your reasons why. I did some homework on which ones are like our superfood vegetables. So I figured I'd share those with you. As you would suspect, they tend to be dark green in color and leafy, a lot of these. So we've got broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, collard greens, kale, kohlrabi, mustard greens, radishes, and turnips. Those are the ones that were like listed as packed with all of the things. And then some other favorites, asparagus, spinach, and green beans. These are like some of the big ones that should be regularly rotated into your weekly grocery orders and on your plates. So this is the fun part. This is where I kind of want to brainstorm because I think we all got a ton out of that last week. So I would love to know of the vegetables that I listed and maybe the ones that you've tried, how you like to prepare them. And if you aren't currently incorporating any of these and you're like, I used to eat 0 vegetables and now I eat cucumbers and I'm pumped with that. I just eat my cucumbers and celery and that is good for me. I also applaud you because wherever you are starting is where you are at. So if you had 0 vegetables and now you're regularly doing cucumbers and celery, that's a big step in the right direction. Then you're going to add to that later. If you've been doing cucumbers and celery for a long time, but aren't including any of these more voluminous vegetables, the ones with more nutrition in them, it's time to like up your game. If you've been eating the same vegetable that I just mentioned, if you are just like, I'm a kale girl, that's all I eat is kale. And I eat kale every meal, twice a day. It's also time to mix it up. You got to put it on rotation because our bodies do best when we get a variety of different nutrition sources in all the categories. The same with protein. It's the same with all of it. It's better to mix it up. So let's brainstorm together the best ways to cook some vegetables because your homework for the week is to include vegetables on all of your Fitme plates and ideally incorporate a new one or prepare it in a new way. So if you've been stuffing it down and barely surviving, I want to have you try it in a new and better way and enjoy it a little bit more. So if you have a favorite way to prepare some of these veggies, then let me know. Share it with the crew.
So any of the greens I saute. They're good.
What does that mean? Like be very specific.
Going to be very specific. So turnip greens, broccoli greens, kale, spinach, a little bit of butter in the pan, get it really, really hot. So it's like sizzling, like super, super hot. And then throw the veggies on top and let them sit. Don't stir them too much. I like it where they crisp up a little bit. especially the kale. And then I flip them, and then I add garlic and some salt and pepper, and sometimes I add bell peppers to the kale. I don't know why, but yellow bell peppers and kale is like bomb together.
I had to get our sidekick. Do you find that any of them need longer to cook, of those kind of like fibery ones?
So the kale, if you don't like the stems, you can either cut them really small. I like the stems, and I don't mind if they're a little undercooked, but they will be a little chewy. The leaves get crunchier. Turnip greens, they have kind of a bitter flavor, so make sure you salt them, because if you don't salt them, they're really bitter, and season them really well. So, spinach is so fast. Like, you can throw 2 cups of spinach and it'll be done in 30 seconds.
I like it. I'm asking everybody to kind of be like very explicit in their descriptions, just to make it easy in case somebody doesn't know what we're talking about. So you pretty much are like saute your greens kind of girl.
Yeah, and then with broccoli, I'll usually do a big pan roasted for the week, like it'll last like 2 or 3 days. And then I take it out and I throw it in a really hot skillet with just water, or maybe a little olive oil, maybe a little butter. But I like to get it hot that way rather than microwaving it, because it gets a little mush. That's not good. And you literally have to do it for 30 seconds as long as your pan is really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I like using cast iron.
You like using what?
Cast iron skillet.
Hmm.
That's my favorite way to go.
So I had a question
Go
of
ahead, Sarah.
what is, when it comes to the mode of cooking, is there a certain way where you get the most nutrients out of it? Like, is baking it better than sauteing it or air frying it or whatever? Is there like a certain mode of cooking that just holds a lot of the fiber and minerals and all that in?
So they say that you do lose a little bit of nutrition when you boil something. So some of it does leach into the water. But I wouldn't stress it too much. So boiling would probably, change it a little bit, but I would, again, like if you're going to be particular about vegetables, what I would change it, rather than worrying about the way that you're cooking it, is the source. So potentially like, going more organic or going more local. I would look at that before I worried about like the way that you're cooking it. The one change I would make though is if your veggies have been coming from a can, I would make the shift from a can to either frozen or fresh, or bagged frozen, because there is a nutrition difference between canned and frozen and fresh. Really good questions. Who else has a like favorite way to prep it? Sarah, did you have another question? Sorry.
So I was just going to say, add too, is depending on what kind of food or what exactly we're making, I'm a saute girl too. I love to do the egg roll in a bowl and just get as much cabbage and carrots. And I've added green beans to it. My family does not like the green beans added to the egg roll in a bowl, but that's usually, and then I just saute it in the sesame seed oil. It's actually one of the Fitme recipes that I got online.
I think that one came from Coach Leah, actually.
Yeah, it's like everybody in my family. It's been a huge hit, and we're big with shrimp when it comes to the protein. You just throw some shrimp in, and it's amazing. And then I'll do zucchini. I like to bake it so it gets a little crispy. I don't like my zucchini like soggy. So or even like the spaghetti squash, we just put just a little bit of the EVOO on it, a little bit of cracked pepper and salt, maybe a little bit of like the Flavor God seasoning or Italian seasoning, and we just half it. We don't even like dice it up. We just cut it straight down the middle, put it right, half it, and then roast it just like that.
I totally agree with you on egg roll in a bowl. It is the yummiest way to get loads of veggies in. And I think you made a good point about squash, which in zucchini, like all of those, which is it. A lot of these vegetables. Sorry, Georgia is like, she is ready for the coaching call tonight with her no shirt. She just covered her shirt in dog water. It does matter how you cook them. So like, for example, if you cook zucchini on a pan, they tend to like water down into total mush. And if you do it really quickly and lightly, that can be good. If you take it like 3 minutes too far, you're going to be like, I'm not eating this. There's a lot of vegetables like that where you may have had them and they were just overcooked. Like if you're measuring whether or not you like asparagus off of you had it at somebody's banquet or, you know, in line at elementary school and they just threw it on your plate and you're like, I hated it. It's the cooking method really matters.
Zucchini is really good, and yellow squash, crookneck, all of that. If you slice it like, I don't know, what's that? Like a half of an inch, a little bit smaller, and throw it on the grill or the George Foreman and just like grill. It's so good. So good.
I love zucchini on the grill.
I know, it's so good. Asparagus too.
You guys know vinegar on greens is one of my favorite things. And so pretty much you name it, kale, collard greens, all those I will cook in a big pot. So I'll take a big pot and I can dump an entire big bag of kale. So one of those guys in there. And then I will add a little bit of water and turn up to high heat. And I cook it all the way down until it's soft and it's like a dark green color. Then I strain out, I'll turn the heat off. I'll strain out the extra water and then I'll add vinegar. So sometimes I use balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I use whatever vinegars in my pantry, and salt and sometimes garlic powder. And it is so good. My kids love it. Everybody loves it. Call it salt and vinegar greens, and they are my fave.
I like to cut up maybe like when I cook veggies, I like use the huge cast iron. Like I use a lot. So I do like 5 or 6 pieces of bacon chopped up, but you could do less. And I get that crispy first. And then I like caramelized onions in there. And literally you can use that base for any vegetable. You could put broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts, garlic too. I like Brussels sprouts. You could do greens in there. You could do spinach or squash, or like literally that base is good for any vegetable. And then I just consider that like my fat for the meal.
So do you strain out the bacon fat?
If there's a lot, I might paper towel some of it out so it's not like, thick. But I don't strain it all out because I use that kind of as my, oil in the pan too.
And then after you've done your bacon and it's crispy and you've done your onions and they're kind of caramelized, and say you were to add Brussels sprouts, would you saute that on the stovetop or would you bake it?
I would put it all in the pan.
And bake it?
And on the stovetop.
Oh, stovetop.
Yeah. And then I salt and pepper. Like, I just don't feel like you need to when you do it that method, it like brings out the flavor in the vegetables. And so like, you don't need to season it with a bunch of like actually flavored season. It's really, it's bomb.
That's a good one for everybody to try. If
bacon makes everything taste better.
It does. And
it really does.
An accessory food, and you can use it as your fat. So I never cook with fat. And now that I do, I'm like, oh my God, food tastes so much better.
It tastes so much better with fat. What were we doing?
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, especially using your fat to kind of make your veggies extra delicious. I mean, think about it. A giant salad with a good, dressing on there, the dressing's your fat. And if you pick one, like that can make the salad taste awesome. Using olive oil, using coconut oil on veggies, using bacon fat. I mean, like, we don't want you cooking everything under the sun with bacon fat, but by all means, like, make that a part of your regular rotation. If it means you eat a pile of veggies because it was cooked in a little bit of bacon fat, do it. We do crumbled bacon on green beans with a little Kerrygold butter, and it's delicious. Everybody eats it. So I kind of treat that like almost like a condiment. Like I'll put the bacon on top like a condiment. I would say the same thing about cheese. I don't if you are brand new to veggies and you're like the only way I'm gonna eat broccoli is if it's got cheese all over it, I would say that's good. Start there. But start to move to a place where you treat cheese kind of like a condiment. Like you just sprinkle some on top, some Parmesan on top, or you like sprinkle some cheddar or something, like just a little bit, just enough to add to it. That's probably the best way to do it if you're gonna do it consistently. If you're gonna do it every once in a while, you do you. If you want broccoli cheese casserole, that's a treat. So don't stress that. I'm talking more about like the kind of stuff you're going to do every day. Any other veggie prep tips?
So it's not really a prep tip. It's just at the beginning of the week, usually Sundays, I chop up carrots, bell peppers, some tomatoes, jicama, and anything like, and put them in a small container all together. And then I throw like a dash of some sort of vinegar on it and a little bit of salt. And then I have those ready in the fridge for me if I'm taking the kids to the beach or I need to go run an errand and I need a snack. So just the easy way to have more veggies.
Yeah, having them prepped and ready.
Yeah, you can throw hummus in there or whatever you want.
Janet, were you getting ready to say something? It was muted when you were talking.
Zucchini is really good if you shred it, salt it, and let it drain before you cook it. I do that and then mix the zucchini with a little bit of pesto and Parmesan and put it in a small frying pan and throw a couple of broken eggs on top of it. It's delicious.
When you say shred it, what do you mean? You mean like with a cheese shredder like that? Or do you mean like a spiralizer?
Or in the food processor. If you have a shredder blade, just run it through there, put it in a colander with a little salt and let it drain for about 10 minutes so you get most of the water out. And then you can mix it with some Parmesan and pesto and throw some eggs in with it and it's delicious. It's like a vegetable pancake.
List.
Yeah, I'm making that this week. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's on my list.
I feel like maybe even with diced tomatoes on it.
I also make a shredded zucchini like fritter. I've been doing that a lot lately. Just a tiny bit of cornmeal or something, and then egg and shredded zucchini, and it's so good.
Do you shred your zucchini in a food processor or like a cheese shredder? How do you do it?
Just a cheese grater.
Yeah, and then, you know, if you mix it with a couple eggs and a tiny bit of like either cornmeal or you know, you could use probably almond flour. I've tried it even without any binders and it works. And it's a great breakfast. It kind of has that fritter feeling to it.
Sounds
you could use
really
a little
good.
corn, like actual corn, and that could be a great carb.
That sounds really good. And I love the idea that you just talked about doing it with breakfast, because breakfast is one of the ones that's kind of tricky for people usually when they're like, how do I do veggies in breakfast if I'm not doing scrambled eggs? Usually people can be like, oh, I can put some veggies and some eggs. But beyond that, it takes some creativity. So I love that, sort of like a zucchini fritter for breakfast. Really
there's
good.
There's a lot of different recipes. You know, I was trying to remember the other day because I got the idea again because it's zucchini season, and if there's a million recipes out there, and you can kind of make it your own, you know, to however you want to make it so that it's a Fitme plate or Fitme inspired plate.
Plus, zucchini is usually pretty affordable. And to be honest, anybody who has a garden and gets zucchini, they're always trying to give it away. So find yourself a friend with a garden who grew some zucchini, because they always have extra. Can you post a picture of your fritter on the Facebook group?
I will next time I make them. I'll have to be inspired to make them.
Are we inspiring you?
Yes,
This is
we're
your week
inspiring
of inspiration.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I'll do more egg, than flour, and they're not as pretty, but they then they're more of a fit me plate than if you add a bunch of white flour to it.
Mhm. I like it. So the last thing, so your target for the week is to include, because everybody's doing some version of Fit Me plates. So this week we're really gonna hold you to it. We want to see veggies on that plate. We want to see it taking up a big portion of the plate. And so talk to your coach about how you've been consuming veggies. Do you need to add some new ones into your rotation? Have you tried them with your family? Have you given up on that? That is your target this week. Have a conversation about veggies and up your game. All of us can up our game this week on veggies, regardless of where you're at. And so up your game on veggies. And then the last thing I wanted to say before we wrap up is, Leah, what are you putting in those jars? Because Leah has been putting vegetables in a jar during this entire call. And I'm like, what is she making?
I'm canning pickles and green beans, and I just had leftover, so I was trying cauliflower in there.
So you are pickling them.
Pickled cauliflower is so good.
I do have a garden, and right now I wish everybody was here because I was eating squash, like literally. But yeah, I'm doing.
You'd be like Oprah, you get a squash and you get a squash and you get a squash. Everybody can have squash.
That's part of the early bird special if you sign up for the weekend.
Yeah, you guys didn't know when you signed up for Fit Me weekend, you're getting vegetables from Leah's garden. All right, guys, it is great to see your faces. Thank you for contributing and sharing. I think this helps everybody, especially people who are catching the replay. It sounds so basic, but cooking vegetables and making them taste good is so key in eating healthy. It is so key in being able to do this consistently. And so this is a really great discussion. So thanks for your contributions, and you guys have a fantastic week. Bye, guys.